Do you ever feel like somebody's listening to you, but they're not really hearing you? Or somebody's speaking, but they're just kind of like talking. There's no meaning behind it. Or maybe you're one of those people that you're like, yeah, I'm talking, but nobody's home. Like, what's going on? This is all has to do with the throat chakra.
Yep.
Throat chakra is your first chakra in your upper, more spiritual chakras. So your bottom three are your how you're showing up here physically in this planet. Your heart chakra is kind of like the control center, the switch, if you will, between the physical chakras and the more ethereal universal chakras.
Mm-hmm.
So the throat is your first one. So this is really tapping into your communication, your center of truth, how you're communicating things out into the world about yourself, your driving purpose. Are you following your purpose and your passion or not? Are you speaking what needs to be spoken, or are you shoving down those words and not really saying what you want to say? Like, I think a lot of people have these common things where they're just in the humdrum of life and not going after their dreams.
Yeah.
Or they're suddenly getting tongue-tied and not saying what they really mean. There's a lot of underlying things in there.
Yeah, I think a lot of people do that also, and do it in the form of not wanting to create waves or have hard conversations, things like that. So
yes, all throat chakra related.
Yeah, because, somewhere along the line, they got the message. They're not to be heard, just to be seen. And so communicating effectively gets kind of numbed out.
It does.
So, one of the things I heard growing up, children should be seen, not heard. My mom used to say that all the time. I think that's one of the reasons why I ended up getting to the point in my life where it's just like, I just don't want to fucking talk.
Yeah.
And I know that when we got together, you're like, you're going to have to talk to me.
You talk.
Or this isn't going to work.
I'm not around anymore.
It's like throat chakra activate because
really quickly.
Otherwise, this is going to go south very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, but I think it had to do a lot with that particular thing because it was, if you were a kid, you had nothing to say. That's it. That's how it was in my house. So
another one of those old programming things coming back to haunt us.
Exactly. And when I got older, I didn't expressing myself just wasn't a thing for me. Like it took me a while. It took me a lot of work to get to the point where I'm speaking all the time. And literally, like when you were doing the intro about the whole thing, it's like I literally, to me, it was like what is it like Charlie Brown?
Yes,
when people
the
would talk to me, like literally, I tuned them out. I just didn't want to hear any of it. So it was just like my disconnect with my throat chakra was a big.
And this is what a lot of people don't realize. They just think throat, so they just think voice and communication, but it wraps in that listening piece of things. Yeah. So that's huge. And the reason the listening is so important is because you're deciding what your purpose, what your passion, how you want to live this life down in these lower chakras. The throat is especially, its partner is the sacral chakra, because that's your center of creativity. So when that creativity, that purpose, that passion comes up, your throat chakra, its job is to put that truth out into the world, to speak it into existence. And if those two aren't working in conjunction, like if you know what your passion is and it's not happening, check your throat. And if that's not happening, check your sacral. And if you're still having trouble, move the energy between them. Drop in, tap into that passion, bring it back up and speak it. Even alone in your car or your room or whatever, just speak it, whatever it is, whatever you want, you feel, whatever you want to see happen in your life. That's when you're going to start speaking it. Yeah. But the listening part comes in, since this is one of the upper chakras. The listening part is, are you listening to higher guidance? Are you listening to the divine? Because it can't just be all about you. The throat chakra is your will. It's your whole center about your will, your willpower. And do you have control of your will, or does somebody have control over your will? Like when you were a kid, the adults were controlling your will.
Absolutely.
You probably wanted to play and laugh and have fun and say what you wanted to say.
Yeah.
And it was shut down and shut down and shut down. So you ended up turning your will over to them.
Mm-hmm.
And that shut your throat chakra down.
Right.
Not realizing you were basically giving your power away because you were a little kid. You didn't know any better.
Yeah. This is why I emphasize a lot about, people that have kids. Be very mindful of how you speak to them. Mm-hmm. Kids are resilient. I'll give them that for sure. But you also have to be aware that you're imprinting into them things that might not serve them.
You don't need to pass down the family
the
trauma from 20 generations back to your kids.
Exactly.
Like, that's not the thing you want to hand on to them.
Yeah.
As an adult how much you struggle with some of your stuff. So really sitting down with that little person and having a conversation and seeing what comes out of them is a beautiful thing, and encouraging them, teaching them when the right time to speak is and when it's not. And, like in the middle of a movie, no, you're not speaking. In the middle of a restaurant, you're not screaming. Like, indoor voice, outdoor voice. You teach them, and you don't have to do it in a threatening way all the time. It can be a very respectful. This is a big center on respect as well.
And it's all about teaching, it's as best as you can, when it comes to that, because they're like, little sponges, and
they are.
They'll take in whatever you give them. That's for sure. And they're very observant to boot. So if you're not mindful of your words and actively using your chakras, particularly the throat, they're going to feel it, know it, because they have it too. So, they instinctually know these things. So when we get to be adults, we're just like, yeah, I'm going to put that on lockdown and pretend it's not there. But it's there, regardless of whether you're ignoring it or not.
Exactly. And you made a really good point that we're not taught how to communicate properly anyway. No. We're not taught how to speak properly. We're not, none of that. Mm-hmm. It's just you kind of learn by trying it out or whatever somebody else is imposing on you.
Right.
So really helping them, it'll actually help you too, because then you're actively thinking about it and getting really present with it and having to think of how to explain it. Like it was never explained to you. So you're retraining yourself on what your new beliefs of what you believe are important, not what your parents might have said when you were a kid.
Yeah, and I used to struggle with words, and sometimes I still do now. And not until I realized that it was had a lot to do with my dyslexia. Mm-hmm. Like when I had to read in school and things like that, I would stutter a lot because I was trying to figure out what the words, like
unjumble them,
the order of the words. And I would get a lot of kids going, doing shit like that, that, and it used to piss me the fuck off, mind you. Mm-hmm. I think I even decked a couple of them.
Oh, jeez.
I got in trouble.
Suspension, yep.
Yep, got in trouble. Mom was called. But yeah, and I struggled a lot with that. And as I got older and realized that this is, what was going on, so started working more on that. And when I got into, my spiritual life, working a lot with the throat chakra so that I can, cohesively exist in my world. Mm-hmm. from not wanting to talk to, always talking, or at least engaging as much as I can with others when it comes to communication, doing things like this. It have value for me.
Right.
Because that's the thing, and it needs to have some sort of value for me so that I can go ahead and move forward with that. But yeah, the throat chakra, that was a big thing for me in my world. That's for sure.
And once you notice that there's something going on, you can stem it back to being seen, not heard. So it could be something somebody said to you, or it could be a self-esteem issue or a lack of confidence. So that's why the people that feel shy a lot of times are just because they don't have that confidence built, again, because we're not taught how to trust yourself and how to have confidence in yourself.
Yeah.
We did a podcast on that too, actually, how to trust yourself. I think that that came out last week. So you might want to check that out if you feel shy or you feel like you're thinking things all the time or feeling things and you're not expressing them or doing it in a way where you feel good about it. Also,
and expressing respectfully. Express yourself, yes, absolutely, but do it in a kind and respectful way.
Yes, this is all about integrity and truth and respect.
Don't speak out of fear. Like people that get all bent out of shape or based on fear, or something's been triggered, that anger has reared its ugly face, and there it is. Like when I get angry, it's just like it comes in quick, and then I'm like, oh shit. I need to call it back and see what's going on, because that's how you figure your shit out, by getting super curious about it. So, but yeah, when you're expressing yourself, do it respectfully and kindly, right. Please.
So some things that you might notice with yourself, physical things, chronic sore throats, allergies, mouth, gum, teeth issues, grinding teeth, locking your jaw all the time, hearing issues. This is all in here. If it's more hearing, how much are you tapping in and how much are you open to that divine guidance and being an antenna for that? A lot of this is stress, probably because you're not expressing. Maybe you're not expressing kindly. Maybe you're not being totally truthful, because some of the misaligned things are lying. Lying is a misaligned throat chakra. Gossiping. What's coming out of your mouth is all constant like stories and drama and that type of thing, because you're just, speaking to get attention or validation or just fill space, because maybe you're not comfortable with moments of silence. Because chakra doesn't also mean that the throat, that you're always speaking.
Yeah.
You sit in silence so that the universe can speak to you.
Yeah.
You sit in silence so you can truly listen to somebody else and they can communicate with you. It's a whole mixture. It's not just about speaking. Speaking, listening, being. So if you're great at talking all the time, spend more time in silence. If you're quiet a lot and not expressing, more sound needs to come out of you. Yeah. This can be accomplished through humming, singing, like anything that gets the vibration going in that area. Neck rolls, anything that's dealing with your neck from side to side. Cat and cow, or cat and dog, depending on who you were taught by with yoga. Yeah, we're going back to yoga again. Because that's moving your neck up and aligning your whole spine in different ways. If you go to a chiropractor, cranial sacral work, any of that type of alignment stuff that's working with your neck. Your posture is a big one. If you really can maintain your posture, it helps with that confidence and that communication, and expressing that energy out to you. And it also opens everything up for you.
That's interesting, because like when I speak and I'm comfortable speaking, I tend to get real comfortable, kind of like laid back. Because when I feel like I'm like this, I feel like it's too much.
Right.
Like there's a lot of energy that's coming out, and I don't know if the recipient is ready for it. So I tend to kind of like do this a lot, just so that, first of all, because I'm comfortable there, and I can just speak and do what I have to do. But I feel like when I'm in that, that's sturdy, chest is kind of out, I'm having a conversation, I just feel like my energy can be a lot for people. How they can take that. So I tend to do a lot of the relaxed part so that they can really feel safe and heard and seen, and not being bombarded. Because I know my energy's strong, so I have to be aware of that.
Right.
I don't do it because I want to be an asshole towards the other person. I'm talking about my energy is just really high and strong in general. And I'm super aware of that, because I don't want it to affect other people or to shut people down, without me knowing. So I try to kind of like lay back more. So be aware of what works for you when it comes to that, because definitely if this is, your strong sovereign self, be that, but also if this is, be that too.
Right.
Like, because it's not a one size fits all kind of
And
shit.
it'll change depending on the situation.
Yeah.
I mean, if like you're a boss and you need to come out and you need to deliver very direct information to people and whatever, you might be a little bit more like, this is the way it is. This is like, my energy is solid because this is solid. If this is more of a casual, we're just communicating with one another, then, your energy and your posture will shift.
Yeah.
But you'll see that a lot with like breath work is really good because, it's coming right in through your windpipe. And this is air, so this is a lot of incense you can do. It depends on it depends on who teaches you this stuff. Some people say it's more space, but the breath work actually is moving that energy back and forth. It's flowing right through your throat chakra, so it really gets things moving. And you're breathing deep down into your belly, so you're going down into that sacral chakra again with the breath, and then exhaling it back out. So the energy's constantly moving between them. So breath work is an amazing thing to do for this.
Yeah. I mean, because it's just like bam, 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 activates all these, the chakras or aligns them, and it does amazing things. Breath work is, I never realized how first of all, we don't breathe right. Second, how much it actually helps when you do breathe the right way.
First time you try it, and probably the first 10 times you do it, because you'll get wicked lightheaded and dizzy.
Yeah. I know I did
Yep.
several times, nauseous, and the whole thing, but yeah, like the way it moves through the chakras, through your body, through everything is just
Powerful.
It's very, very powerful. So, highly recommend breath work to people.
Yeah, I actually I hadn't done breath work in probably 3 or 4 weeks because I was doing a different type of meditation that I was trying out. And today I'm like, I need to do breath work today. And probably because we were going to do the throat chakra video, now that I'm thinking of it in hindsight. But and the one that I picked wasn't my favorite breath, but it did have to do with heart and throat and all that area. So I thought that was kind of amusing now that I'm thinking about it. But I got really lightheaded at the gate, and I'm like, wow, okay, only 4 weeks. It's like exercise. You stop using the muscle. And
exactly. And
like,
that's
okay.
that's happened to me as well when I stop. I mean, I don't go like super in like a lot of people do, like get into this all these different types of breath work. I continue to do the breath work I've learned when I was being coached, and that's what I do, and I think that works for me better more than others. But yeah, I mean, when I was coaching, that was again, I don't think he was saying it to we did touch on all the chakras, but at the same time we never talked about the throat chakra significantly, but he made it a point to make sure that I always spoke.
Yep.
He made it a point that I made sound.
Right. She couldn't communicate like texting, or he took all those tools away from her.
Like, no.
You use your voice recorder. You use one of the apps where you have to speak or video. Or
he got the fact that subliminal message that I got when I was a kid was at play in my adult life, and he was making sure that wasn't going to be a thing anymore. And that's when he introduced breath work. I now see why he did what he did during those moments, and at the time I was like, I don't want to fucking do this.
Yeah, this is stupid. I don't like it.
I committed to level myself up, and so I did,
and
it anyway.
It worked.
Yeah,
it totally worked.
It's interesting how it all kind of comes together.
Yeah, it gets crystal clear. The more and more you do the work, the more that you'll start seeing the coincidences, and you'll really feel, instead of doing the why is the universe testing me and not supporting me, you'll be like, okay. Yeah, there it is. I didn't understand it when it happened, but I knew there was something, and here it is.
Yeah, I mean, we literally do that. We'll start thinking about something, and it's like, okay, got it. We'll either hear something, see something, and it's just like, okay, got the message.
Yeah, I have a broken sink, and it like baptizes you every freaking time you turn it on, no matter how careful you are.
You take a bath.
And so I'm like, I got mad one day. I'm like, what the fuck? Why? And I hear, well, why don't you do something about it? And I said, oh, which thing on my list should I do first? Fix this, fix the light, fix that. And I listed like all the stuff on my to-do list. And there was like dead silence for like a second. And then, so I just started doing something else. And then I heard, why don't you try fixing yourself? And I was like, oh, snap, universe. Okay.
I love it.
Okay. My attitude, my bitching, my complaining, my like, yep. Because was I speaking anything of value at that point? I was releasing the energy.
You were releasing it, yeah.
which is good, and I can honor and respect that. But there's a lot of different ways and things that I can do to deal with that, because this is a big thing with this chakra. How many here are like to be in control or control things? Me. Love to be in control. How many people are really, really good at just surrendering? I'm not talking about giving up. I'm talking about surrendering. Yeah, this is why we work, I think, together. So being in control is your will, is taking your will and speaking and communicating and letting it flow through you and allowing your passion to come out into your world and actively showing up for that. The surrender piece, you do what you need to do, and then you surrender and allow the vibration, the frequency, the energy, the universe to do its part. You have to be able to do both. And if something's not working out for you, it's one of the others of those two.
Yeah. I mean, I think for me that comes from years of consistently hearing, jump into the pool and trust that there will be water in it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, Spirit used to tell me that all the time. Just go ahead and do it. Jump, and trust that. Because first of all, they were making it very clear that regardless of how I jumped and when I jumped, there was always going to be something there to protect me.
Mm-hmm.
And I needed to trust that. And I think that because of my upbringing, I lost a lot of the trust in myself because of what I was being.
You were stripped of safety, so.
Yeah. So it's just like that. So consistently, Spirit would say, just jump, trust.
So this is your center of struggle, actually, where you'll struggle with choice of like, okay, do I do this and I push this through now, or do I surrender now, or how do I do both? How can I sit in a place of both? It's a really interesting place to be.
And then sitting in surrender to trust that what you have asked, what you have been speaking, will come to fruition. And
be open to it coming, however is the best and highest for you, not how you've decided from your limited blinders on life that it's going to look like.
I was just going to say the same thing, because it'll come in ways that you can't even fathom most of the time. So if you keep it in a box because it should come this way, and then it shows up that way, you're going to be like missing the entire thing.
And if you're not sure what that looks like, one of our podcast here on YouTube, right on our channel, we have, I think it's 7 ways to surrender to the universe. Yeah. And then there's another one, why is the universe testing me? Yeah. If that is something that comes up for you a lot. And that could help you in this area.
That's interesting, because I was talking to a friend of mine, and she said the exact same thing. Why is the universe testing me? Or what's going on with the universe?
Here, listen to episode 20.
And I says, go check out my podcast.
Exactly.
She's like, wait, what? What are you talking about? I'm like, yeah, go check it out. We did a podcast about that. Really? I'm like, yes.
That's so funny. It all connects in.
Yeah.
It's simple things you can do, because I don't think we touched on that yet. Eat blue foods like blueberries, blue grapes. Blue, don't wear blue. That's why we're wearing blue. Yeah. It's not a coincidence. We're not trying to be matchy because I don't like that. I see I'm expressing myself here. Yeah. Carry blue stones like aquamarine, turquoise. There's a ton of them. You can look those up. And this is just a place to get really strong on what your values are, what your integrity is. If you're not sure, you don't sit solid in that. Drop back down to those first 3 chakras. Yeah. That's where that starts and that foundation sits, and then come back up to your throat.
Yeah.
Like, or if you just spoke something and it didn't come out right, say it again. Say, I don't think I expressed that quite right. This is what I was trying to say. Like, that's okay to do. It's really okay to just to keep talking to get meaning across. Or if you're not sure what somebody else is saying, it's okay to one thing we like to say is, okay, what I'm hearing you say is this, and repeat back to them what the meaning is behind it.
Yeah.
So then it gives them the opportunity to correct or to add to, and to practice their communication skills.
Right.
So as you're doing yours, you're just, you're assisting other people in building stronger relationships. So, all right. So we're tapping into our willpower. Questions you can ask yourself: am I in control of my willpower? Who do I relinquish my will to? Parents or my partner? Like, who am I letting control things for me? That might be why you have a throat chakra issue, misalignment. And am I having a healthy balance with the universe where I'm allowing them to be in charge of my will in the spots where I feel stuck, I don't know what to do, or I know I've done my part, and now it's time to allow the universe to be in charge of my will.
Yeah.
So a healthy balance between both of those. And that is the key to an aligned throat chakra.
Yeah.
All right. Peace.
Be kind.